Good day, my name is Efreaim Gozum, and I will be presenting my paper entitled Using Gabriel Marcel's Disponibility and Creative Fidelity in Highlighting the Importance of Maintaining Marital Vows in Filipino Spousal Relationships. For the introduction, every romantic couple hopes that one day they'll be able to tie the knot and be married. It is always the dream of two lovers to publicly make their vows and commit themselves to one another until time permits. During the wedding day, the husband and wife are very sure that they are ready to uphold the wedding vows that they made. However, married life is not always a fairy tale. It will present different challenges that will test the fidelity of both. With this paper aims to discuss Marcel's concepts of creative fidelity and disponibility in order to accentuate the importance of marital vows in the Filipino tradition. For the first part, Gabriel Marcel's disponibility and indisponibility. The importance of the human person is very much highlighted in Marcel's philosophy. With this, Marcel analyzed the human being and came up with the conclusions that human beings are all being in situation. He states, but on the other hand, this tension is quite at the opposite pole from what I have at various times called, and shall here call again, intersubjectivity. End quote. The situation of the human being is very contributory to the shaping of the human person. These human beings must be intersubjective and have a sense of togetherness and belongingness. It's quite clear that Marcel discussed that a certain sense of belonging and participation is vivid to human beings as a being in situation. To be a being in situation also requires a creative activity for the individual. For this reason, Marcel notes that one must not delve into an egoistic tendency. One must not take pride of oneself and detach their own from the society. One must not become unavailable or indisponibility. Thus, unavailability deviates from Marcel's intersubjective relationship. There's an objectification in being disponible. Marcel states, if I treat a thou as a he, I reduce the other to being only nature, an animated object which works in some ways and not in others. If on the contrary I treat the other as thou, I trip him and apprehend him qua freedom. I apprehend qua freedom because he is also freedom and not only nature. It states that human beings have transcendent nature in their existence. This means that one is not isolated or self-contained. This means that the experience of transcendence comes from the subject's own experiences both in a personal manner and experiences with others. With this, the concept of disponibility is pertaining to openness or spiritual availability. It is understood that to be available is to believe in the other and to place oneself at others' disposal. One can see that availability is more than just a commitment but a claim of a human being. It is something that states that human being is connected to the presence, which explicates the here-ness of an individual. Therefore, disponibility evokes shared experiences, since it urges human beings to be available so that they can be immersed into egoistic tendencies and remove all of them. Hence, availability urges the human person to be more connected with other human beings. Gabriel Marcel's creative fidelity. He states, fidelity is real when it is truly creative. This statement explains the wholeness of Marcel's concept of creative fidelity. He wants a commitment or certain fidelity which makes people to have a more intimate or closer relationship with others. In simple terms, fidelity is not really faithfulness but commitment, but it is related to it. These words are very related. However, it is emphasized that fidelity must first have an element of constancy, a sense of being constant in a relationship. It is the rational skeleton of fidelity. He accentuates that fidelity must be more than just a perseverance in a certain goal and must not lose contact in reality. As constancy pertains more to self, Marcel wants to further look at the realm of presence, which involves other more. Thus, one must be present for the other. Moreover, one must not be faithful in a relationship such as marriage, only because of duty or obligation, for this defeats the purpose of fidelity. Fidelity must have the aspect of spontaneity. It must be genuine. The commitment must made must not be put into question because the volition in spontaneity of the person is much exercise. It is not force. Hence, with this, fidelity becomes creative. The ground of fidelity is initial assurance that one has given. With this, there's an imperative that one must know one's own self first before making a commitment. This is the only means to have a genuine fidelity. It means you need to have an element of sincerity. In addition to, Marcel discussed about fidelity, which is fidelity to God. He explained that this kind of fidelity makes other fidelities possible. Absolute fidelity requires a sense of humility to the individuals because of a fidelity to something higher. This humility is needed in any type of fidelity because in order to have better participation in belongingness, you need to become humble to other persons. Next part, Filipino courtship through the years. The Family Code of the Philippines stated that marriage is defined as a special contract between a man and a woman entered into in accordance with law for the establishment of conjugal and family life. It's the foundation of family. The sacredness of the bond has always been highlighted. The big thing that affected this is the religiosity of Filipinos. This trait that is built on traditional values passed on from generation to generation, which were then added to by Catholic teachings after the arrival of the Spaniards, show the Filipinos' promotion of marriage in the church. The Filipino marriage is not only characterized by religiosity, but also the courtship that occurred before marriage. We can see that the courtship here shows a sense of perseverance, a sense of knowing one another. That's why the first part of courtship is pamamanhikan. Pamamanhikan is made by the man before the parents of the woman he wanted to marry asked for the blessing of the parents. Pamamanhikan is servitude. In here, the suitor tries to convince the parents of the woman and tell his intentions. It has no direct English tradition, but pamamanhikan is asking for the girl's parents' permission. Also, pamamanhikan somehow looks at the sincerity of the suitor. Next, the tradition sustained by Filipinos is respect to women by marriage. Most importantly, this is done because Filipinos are family-oriented. It's important for them to obtain the parents' blessings prior to a lifetime commitment. It's not legal to marry a man without the permission of the parents. For this reason, traditionally, the girl is never to be home alone with the suitor. The suitor usually does harana or serenades the woman in courtship to express his affection to the woman. Another tradition that Filipinos have before marriage is servitude or paninilbihan. This is done usually by doing household chores such as fetching water, chopping firewood for cooking. The suitor does this to show if he is ready to work for his lady. Also, this is a way to convince the parents of the woman. Moreover, when the time the couple has received both their families' blessing, they can now reach out to their clans and get married. The suitor then goes to the woman in order to formally ask the hand of the woman for her parents, and this is made because of the tradition. This tradition shows that Filipinos want their relatives to be in their wedding day because for them, marriage is not just an extension of the self. It's not just a union of two persons, but union of two families. That's why it shows that euphoria and felicitations are being given to the couple. They are ready to spend. Wedding are ostentatious and food are sumptuous during marriage. For Filipinos, marriage is more than the union of the two people. That's why they really value it. That's why they spend time and money because it's an extension of their own families. That's why fidelity here is not just to the woman or to the man, but to their families. That's why sacredness is maintained. That the vow they made makes it sacred. Be it church or civil, fidelity must be maintained. That's why because of this, they expected that they when say until death do us part, they're ready to live a life together until the moment of their death. That's why in the Filipino setting, we can call faithfulness as tapat. Being tapat in a relationship does not only entail to not having concubine or not committing adultery, but it is giving of the whole self to your better half. The commitment of the couple to each other means that they need to be honest and true to one another. There arises the need for faithful to each other. Hence, they become parents, and the faithfulness goes beyond their being parents, but it goes to their duties as well. So, to highlight, the family as a social institution requires members. And who are the founding members? The parents. The husband and wife who, when they met and fell in love and married each other, are now entering their vocation for married life. These two persons would eventually be the ones to procreate and start the family. Traditionally, Filipinos are very critical and sensitive in choosing a partner. As I stated, the courtship process is very difficult, it's very long. In order to get the affirmation, there must be a certain process to gain the love and trust of both family. Hence, however, in the modern setting, some women's affection can easily begin by suitors, by sending sweet messages through text, chat, and other different means of communication. There are mobile applications, dating apps that make courting easier. For this reason, it is important for Filipinos to be reminded about the personal interaction that they need in courtship. To be reminded of these traditional values, we can look at Marcel's concept of disponibility. It urges an existential participation between people, which can be extended to interpersonal communion. In the process of mate selection, one can look closely, interact, and understand each other if they would have availability. The availability of the suitor will entail the commitment to the woman that he loves. With this, they can be both open to each other and gain the trust of one another. Thus, a more intersubjective relationship between couples promotes a more genuine one. If the couple became intersubjective, they can be bonded more, and have more interpersonal communion and a deeper connection. After courtship, as long as they are ready to be together, marriage can be done. As I said, it's highlighted in the Filipino tradition. There's a public affirmation of their marriage. That's why there's a commitment or obligation to do well and to be faithful. This is a great event for both families, especially for the two who are going to be married. It's a fulfillment of their love. Being united by marriage is very essential to Filipinos because they have an extension of their family. By being married, the vow for faithfulness and full dedication of themselves to each other and family are highlighted. Marcel was aware that family will undergo such situations due to changes by modernization. With this, he highlights that marriage must be seen as a pact between humanity and life. Human being responds to life, and one form of responding to this pact between humanity and life is through marriage. Suggests that marriage as a sacramental bond should be preserved. Divorce must not be tolerated because it removes the sacramentality and sanctity of union in marriage. The vows that were made in front of the altar during marriage is being disregarded in divorce. With this, marriage must be looked as not a simple contract, for it has a sacramental bond. The conjugal union during marriage elevates it from other forms of relationship. It must not be treated like any other contract in work in which one can resign anytime when one wants. For Marcel, marital ties can last if the couples have a form of fundamental generosity and availability to each other. This mindset can preserve unity in the family. Fundamental generosity and availability, or disponibility as Marcel calls it, will both make the couple be open and committed to one another. Both of these make one to be more connected to one another and makes the couple more engaging. Hence, there's a claim to have a better establishment of connection, a deeper connection. Moreover, for marriage to last, both couples must have the virtue of fidelity and hope. Fidelity is very much needed for couples to last. For fidelity to be truly genuine, fidelity must be creative. Creative fidelity makes the individual be faithful and committed not by any factor but by own will. The fidelity of the couple is not something imposed but is something that comes out naturally because it is genuine. Thus, even though committed, in order to last, faithfulness of relationship of the couple requires both constancy and presence of one another. There must be a middle ground which brings the couple together and love each other. There must be physical and spiritual presence. There must be intersubjective relationship of being, the feeling of being one. there must be sincerity and openness to one another. Hence, genuine fidelity of the couple, as Marcel suggests, boils down to a sense of spontaneity. The sense of spontaneity is important for it to make the fidelity natural and not hypocritical. As Marcel states, for fidelity as such can only be appreciated by the person whom it is pledged if it offers an essential element of spontaneity, itself radically independent of the will. Thus, this element of spontaneity is important for fidelity to be genuine. There must not be any other factor, but in order to have genuine fidelity, there must be any hindrance or any reason to be faithful. Fidelity must always be spontaneous and come out naturally. Hence, it is the own will of the couple which makes them faithful to each other. Now, for the last paragraph, Marcel states the need for creative fidelity for couples. Creative fidelity must have a self-knowledge which Marcel gives importance. One must already have a deeper knowledge and understanding of one's own self before committing to the other. However, Marcel states, in principle, to commit myself, I must first know myself. The fact is, however, that I really know myself only and I have committed myself. With this, one goes back to Marcel's notion of mystery and reminds couple who make vows and commitments of marriage to always involve the self in order to further reflect and have a strong hold of the commitment made. The commitment made by the person entails also a deeper understanding and knowledge of the self. The members of the couple complement each other and help each other have a grasp of their own self. Thus, one must always have a response to the commitment made. As Marcel says, all commitment is a response. If all stated are found in the relationship, disposition, and fidelity of married couples, their marriage will have ties that last. Creative fidelity will only work for the couple if there is genuine love, constancy, sincerity, and trust. No one is sure of this when they made the commitment, but all are hopeful to maintain their relationship because of an assurance of the involvement of the self. Thus, to end, fidelity is creative for it will enable the person to be creative together with the partner. With this, Marcel wants the couple to answer the call of creative fidelity, to hope that by being faithful to a higher being will urge the couple to be faithful also to each other. It will be a sense of absolute fidelity, a hope that will enable fidelity to be possible. The inspiration of absolute fidelity will make one be creatively faithful. With that, I end my virtual presentation. So, what's my final message? It's that you will get maintaining marital vows in spiritual spousal relationships is a constant effort. It's a long effort. However, Marcel's disponibility and creative fidelity ask us to have this, to be constant in this effort, to do our best in order for us to reach the goal of maintaining the marital vows that you made. It's not new in Filipino tradition for the always highlighted family, but this is still until now a great challenge to everyone. So I take this opportunity to thank you for giving me the opportunity to present in all of you, and though I'm not there in Tokyo, I hope that my message to all of you, my paper, talk what I really wanted to tell you. So thank you very much. God bless us for all, and we all pray and hope that we will get through this pandemic, the COVID-19.